So we're here at home, the home that I grew up in.
One day I know I feel home again.
And yeah, back in Fermanagh, so back where my childhood was, where I went to school, where it started. So it's about an hour and a half from Belfast. It's a pretty rural location, but a really beautiful part of the world as well. All of the families in Fermanagh, my grandparents were both here. A lot of mum's side of the family is very close to here, so a lot of people live within the few miles of where this house is. We've got Dad. Say hello, Dad.
Hello everybody.
We've got Helen. Mommy. We've got Auntie Veronica.
Hi everybody.
We've got Auntie Maggie.
Hello folks.
And we've got Auntie Mary. So we've got 3 aunties. It's normally busier than this. I think when I was younger I didn't even think about Formula One as a career. You watched it on TV, but you never thought about working in that world or that industry. So I can't imagine what it would be like to go back and say that, you know, to younger me, that's what I was going to end up doing.
It's lovely to have Bernie home from time to time. She often doesn't get much time to come home with all the racing and everything, but when she does at home, the house is full. Do you remember bringing up the milk from the road?
No. Yeah, I love coming back home and I love the grounding effect that it has. Really nice to come back and see some people that you've not seen in a while, have a few more cups of tea. So the next few days we're going to go on a little journey. We're going to go back to where I went to school, so really small primary school that's not too far from here. We're then going to go to my secondary school, which is very, very different. And then we're going to go on to university, so sort of take the story through my education and the decisions I made and how I ended up in engineering and how then I ended up in F1 in the paddock. Going back to my school is going to be interesting because Taddygar, I've literally not been there since I left. It's hard to remember being that young again. The decisions that you made after that, I guess nobody really could have thought, you know, where it would pan out. I remember we used to have a computer over there and it was the first computer that the school got. And it was the only computer we had, so whenever we did computing, we had to do it on that one.
Any of you have got any questions for Bernie?
Have you ever met like Lewis and Gaff?
Yeah, I've met Lewis and I met Sebastian.
Have you met Max?
Verstappen, yes, but not as much as, I don't know him as well as I know Lewis. I worked with Lewis for a little bit.
All right.
Wait, what was your favourite subject in when you were in secondary school? Was it technology and design?
So the subjects I did when I was in secondary school was maths, physics, technology and design. So I enjoyed all of them. I liked technology and design because it was like bits of hands-on stuff you could do as well as just the numbers. But yeah, because I liked making things. You got another question?
Yeah. You know on the cars that you worked on in the Formula One, what did you do? Like what were you doing?
So again, like designing stuff. So either some bits I was designing the cars or then on other bits, you know the way, you know when you watch a race, if you watch the race, so when you watch the race and someone decides when the pit stop happens, like what the pit stop and what tyres, I did that job. Down here we've got some old school photos and I think this is the school when I was here. This was all of the pupils in the school when I was here. And here's me at the end with my little fringe. Hi everyone. Bernie. Miss Cleary. Nice to see you.
Oh, it's just delightful to see you.
Nice to see you. This is very different.
You were taught in the dining room.
I remember.
Yes. And you were my first class when I came to Taddygar.
Yeah, a long
What
time
a lovely
ago.
class. Couldn't have had a nicer class. And I do remember about you, Bernie, very creative. In terms of drawing.
Really?
And the creative side.
It's really lovely to be back and see everyone here.
Well, you have done ever so well.
Thank you so
Bernie.
much.
So congratulations to all your achievements.
But the idea of doing this and coming back and looking around is just to show you all that you can all do whatever you want to do. If Miss Cleary teaches you well enough, if she teaches you as well as she taught me. Secondary school, obviously, I remember a lot more of that. To go back and see girls in the position that I was in and making those decisions and getting into exams and the different subjects. There's some teachers still exist, so it'll be really interesting to get their maybe more honest opinion on what I was like as a child.
This is actually Bernie, you probably remember. First year.
Oh wow,
Look at the picture.
Straight out of primary school.
Straight out of primary school. And then...
I look very innocent there, don't I? I look like...
And now look at 7 years later.
Wow, yeah.
Your memory in the Red Stairs book.
Yeah, this is probably still at home somewhere, I'd imagine.
And you made the local paper, the Fermanagh Herald as well. You achieved in AS Technology and Design.
Oh,
You were
yeah.
the top achiever in school, so you see yourself there in the back row.
Yeah, at the back. God, there's a few familiar
You
faces there, a few teachers and stuff.
Got Mount Laird's jersey
brilliant,
to give
thank
you
you.
and a couple of memorabilia for you to take
thank
with
you so much. That's
I
brilliant.
know.
Thank you so much.
you so much for coming. I think in first year I was doing a assignment for religion, and it was, I'm surprised I haven't pulled it up here, but it was an inspirational woman, and I was looking local, so I did you.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
And Mother Teresa, so that was a good comparison with the two.
Here's my old technology teacher, Mr. Mina. Nice to see you.
Bernie.
I like this like engineering profile.
Yes, that's there to help maybe inspire the engineers of the future, the girls like yourself.
It's good because I think when I was here, there wasn't loads of chat about engineering.
No, definitely not. And it has now become something that is important, and someone like yourself is definitely an inspiration to the younger students. You can see here that a lot of these girls are using SolidWorks,
CAD
3D
stuff.
CAD package, yeah. And that's probably an element that has changed since your day here, where it would have been more hand graphics and the likes. Nowadays, they do some hand graphics, but they're using more and more CAD. It is a very important part of what we do. And the new element is obviously using the 3D printers and the laser cutters to manufacture.
I guess like you're doing here, whenever I started working in F1, when you're designing stuff, it gets made really quickly. So really quickly you can see the physical thing, which I guess is what you're fit to do.
Well, we noticed that here with the GCSE and A-level students. They can actually create something very quickly on screen, and within minutes it's back in the workshop.
I'm glad to see what you've been taught has changed a bit and moved forward and doing more of the CAD stuff that potentially maybe puts some young girls off doing engineering. It's nice to see so much of the computer work happening.
Was it really stressful making the big decisions during the race?
Yeah, it was stressful. Like making the decisions on the pit was definitely stressful, and it gets hard to imagine from your position now doing that sort of thing. But you build up to it over time, you know, year on year when you do your engineering or when you do more and more time on the pit wall, you get more and more experience, and gradually those decisions become easier and easier, and you don't think about the pressure around it anymore. Here I am in the school photo, final year of my time at Mount Laird's, year 14 back in 2004, with all of my class. So you can see even here that this year group is 2 times the size of what the whole primary school was. So it was a big difference. So we're here at the maths department, and it's nice to see, you know, like a careers board indicating where maths will take you and all the different roles that you can do out of maths. But it's just really weird to see me on the board and a bit of my story of what I've done and how I did maths, and you know, even a Sky Sports logo in there. That's me interviewing on the grid.
Welcome back to the maths department.
Mr. Haggerty, you didn't teach me though, but
No.
nice to be back, nice to be here.
You were taught by Mrs. Irwin.
I was taught by
Once upon
Mrs.
a
Irwin,
time.
and exactly, these tables don't actually look, the tables and the chairs don't actually look that much different to when I was here.
I've actually been in contact with Mrs. Irwin
Right,
to let
okay.
her know that you were coming in today.
Yeah.
She's now retired.
Yeah,
And she's
that's
currently
because it's been too long ago.
She's currently in the Canary Islands.
Nice.
But she has sent you a wee message.
I had the pleasure of knowing and teaching you, that's a good start, for 4 of your 7 years at Mount Laird's. In my memory, you stand out as an exceptional student with very high mathematical ability. On a more personal level, you were always incredibly focused and a delight to know and teach. Throughout my teaching career, I have used your success as an example to demonstrate to my students there's no limit to what a young woman can strive for and achieve in life. Best regards, Bernie, and hope you enjoy your special day at Mount Laird's. Teresa Irwin. That's lovely.
What attribute do you think you have that has been most important to get you to that level?
I think the thing that got me to that level was I never felt, or no one ever told me I couldn't do it. So I just always kept going at whatever I thought was the next thing to do.
At what stage did you decide you wanted to go into F1?
So the point where the F1 came for me really was I started doing mechanical engineering at uni because, like I say, I enjoyed maths and physics. And then in my 4th year of uni, we started to build like a little single-seater race car called Formula Student, and that was the first point I even thought about doing cars, let alone F1 stuff. I sort of felt your background, Fermanagh and Northern Irish people, you sort of feel like you're very shy to put yourself forward for things. Because you sort of, like My story on that was I wasn't going to apply to McLaren until my lecturer at uni told me to, because I just assumed someone else would get the job. But if you live your life like that, then you won't ever get anything. So we're here because Maud's is how I know Amy. We grew up working here together. We, during school, came in here every evening after school to work, came in at the weekends during uni to work. So a good few years spent in this cafe serving teas and coffees and ice creams and things.
How was it being back at school?
Oh, it was really weird. So like we went to see Taddygar today, all the little kids, and so much of it just hasn't changed. So the rooms are still the same. Like there's an extra classroom. Miss Cleary, who was one of the teachers when I was there, she was there.
But what about Mount Lourdes? You were there as well?
Oh yeah. So went there as well. That feels like it's changed more in a way.
Yeah.
And like seeing all the girls and stuff there. And there's so many teachers that are still the same.
Yeah.
Bits have changed, bits are different, but I think the career stuff is all like better than it was when we were there. Like there's more understanding of what they can do.
I think you've kind of helped sell the engineering side for women. That's one of the things that they're promoting. I said they're doing a presentation and they're showing like what women can do in that area of business, which is great and it's fantastic. So what's the plans now for the rest of the time here?
So tonight we're going back up to Belfast, so we're going to have a little look around university and go back to the engineering department, so sort of follow through the story.
Fantastic, we'll have a great time.
Thank you.
So will we go up and see if we can serve some ice cream for old time's sake?
Yeah, let's do that. Come on, put a bit of welly into it for me. So here we are in Belfast, Queen's University, where I studied a Master's in Mechanical Engineering for 5 years. So we're going to have a little look round and see who we can find. Nice to meet you.
Hi Bernie, good to see you again.
It's been a long time.
It's brilliant to have you back. Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's really nice to be back. You ran the former student team that obviously I was part of.
Yep.
And that's still going on within the university?
That's still going now. We're actually in our 25th year now.
Wow, okay.
Believe it or not. So yeah, it's still going on. Still as popular as ever. I think the team's much bigger now than it was
in the past.
I think when you were involved in it.
Well, let's go and meet some of them.
Okay. So Bernie, we've got our team leader, Roisin, and
nice to meet you.
Deputy team leader, Ciara.
Nice to meet you. For either of you going to be driving the car?
Hasn't really been decided yet.
No, hopefully. Yeah. I mean, because this is our last year, so hopefully.
You get a chance.
Get a chance in it.
But former student, you design, you build, and then you race the former student car at Silverstone.
Yep. I mean, our former student gives you the first-hand experience of the whole process, from sort of conceiving the design, through the design process, through the manufacture, through the testing, and through the competition as well. I remember being sort of a natural leader among the students.
Was I bossy? Is that what you mean?
I think you were. I think you're quite intimidating. I think there was sort of a position where the boys in the team sort of just happily stood back and let you sort of get on with organising everything. So
I did mechanical engineering. I did a master's in mechanical engineering. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I didn't know that I wanted to work in motorsport, or definitely hadn't thought about working in Formula One. I think former student was sort of that turning point for me, that point of sort of thinking. But obviously not at all universities, but here it forms part of the degree, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So we're here in the CAD room, Jeff. So CAD, obviously computer-aided design for those that don't know, but this is so important to everything that the former student team does, really, then.
Yeah.
It's a starting point.
I mean, CAD is a really significant part of the design of the car. The students will work probably about 6 months, actually, producing detailed designs, and there'll be a bit of manufacturing going on in the background, but then sort of once we've got the CAD finalised and a lot of the engineering analysis, it will then move on to the manufacturing side of the thing. So it does require a lot of in-depth engineering analysis and design work to get the car designed in advance of the manufacturing build.
Alongside the Formula Student competition, there's also a sim racing competition that runs in parallel. And students compete roughly once a month. There's always a race.
So it's like 2 competitions in one then, really, with the engineering challenge and the sim challenge. It's really good because lots of the F1 drivers, we see them using sims all the time, and we see them like in their spare time doing sim racing against each other as well. And definitely like the setup applications are the same as exactly what they are in the F1 world. Right, what do I need to do?
That's the accelerator and then brake.
Oh no, I know that bit.
Just go. Just go.
I think it's in the wall. So Queen's have arranged a bit of a surprise in that they've brought along Professor John R, who was the supervisor of my Stage 3 project, and for me I feel quite instrumental really in my decision to apply even to McLaren, I think, at that stage, and definitely would have led to a really different career, I think, otherwise. So thank you for coming along, John.
It's a pleasure.
I remember being sat, I think probably in the Formula student room, and you had said that McLaren had sent in this request to apply, for students to apply. I might remember this incorrectly, but I didn't apply. And then I remember maybe about a week later you coming back and saying, why have you not applied? And I think without that nudge, I probably wouldn't have applied, because I just assumed I wouldn't get the job.
I felt just with the commitment that you had shown through the Formula Student project stage and into your final year, that you were obviously absorbed by the technology and the engineering, and felt that really you could acquit yourself well in the application process. I do remember a tutorial. It could actually have been this very room in its former days, but we were at a tutorial with a group of students around a table, and you were asking on their behalf.
Okay.
I felt in those days you were, in a way, you were looking after some of your colleagues as well. You were maybe involuntarily, but extending those sort of that team ethos.
How did you find the graduate programme? Did it give you a lot of exposure to like different sectors in the sport? Or?
Yeah, so I thought the graduate programme was really good, because when uni is obviously big and you have a lot of interaction with people, but to know how a full company works and how all the departments go together, I thought the graduate programme was really good for doing that. So I did like 3 months in design, 3 months in what's called systems engineering, 3 months in vehicle dynamics, so trying to look at the setup of the car, and then 3 months just like sometime in the wind tunnel, sometimes on the test team, and as well as getting to know like all the different departments and how they link together, I got to know loads of different people in the company, so it meant that if I needed to go and ask someone a question or figure out what was happening, I knew at least one person in each department. So I definitely, regardless of what brand of engineering you go into or what like role really, the graduate schemes out there are really good. So we've just finished the 2-day tour, mini tour of Northern Ireland. It's been really nice to go back to primary school, go back to secondary school, get to Belfast and university again, and some really positive changes have been made to some of the courses, to definitely the careers. I think there's loads, we've seen loads more emphasis on engineering at both the schools level. I think the idea of being, inspirational or a role model or any of those things don't naturally sit well with many people, myself included. But I really see the need for someone, the need for those young kids to have someone that is like them, has been like them, done the same route, although much older, the same route that they've done.
Every one of us has to come from somewhere, and like whether you come from one of the top streets in London or whether you come from a place in Northern Ireland, it shouldn't make any difference in the end of the day. If you're good enough to do whatever you're doing.
She's worked hard, and we know how difficult it's been living out of a suitcase and travelling.
She sort of showed her natural abilities, both as a leader and as an engineer when she was a student here.
We're very proud of Bernie. She is an inspirational young woman. She is a role model for students.
What an inspirational. As a student, she was a brilliant student.
It's been delightful to have her back. She has come from the humble beginnings of a very small primary school where she was with younger and older children in her classroom, and even then I could see the beginnings of a creative force.
Having someone like Bernie come in and show them and explain to them how she got to the level she has got to in Formula One is just inspirational for the girls.
It's just a pleasure to see a graduate from the university having such an exciting and varied career path.
I didn't know when I joined Queen's in engineering what I wanted to do at the end of that. But that's okay, you can make decisions as you go, you can make changes as you go. My career has changed a lot. It's changed a lot from I joined the design office to being on the pit wall to now being with Sky. It's very different steps. And that's great because I've learnt so much and continue to learn so much. So as long as you're continuing to enjoy what you do, that it's okay not to necessarily know what the next step is.